Okay, guys, I want to talk to you about a few things this morning, and some of them are maddening, actually, one thing is just really cool. All right, so like I said, you guys get a raw look at what we have going on here in our thinking. And the first thing I want to talk about is taxes. I did our federal and state, our personal tax return yesterday. We have an S corporation, so that return was done by our accountant a week ago or so. All right. So taxes, not my favorite thing to do. Not so much because of the process or the act of filling out schedules. Schedule F for us. We do a Schedule F. I've done Schedule C's in the past, and all that. So it's not the process of taxes, because we actually use TaxSlayer. We've used TaxSlayer for years on our personal income. They make it pretty simple, and as long as you have all your paperwork, you can just run the numbers, punch the numbers, and determine what you have, and it gives you this little ticker on the way, and whether you get a return or you owe money. Anyway, so it's federal taxation. All right. Well, what it has done, and on state level too. So federal and state taxes, income taxes in particular. What they have done is they've given basically an unlimited amount of power to the government. The more tax law, the more taxes, the less freedom and liberty. Really, that's what it boils down to. That's my thoughts on it. Because what the government is doing, and you might say, hey, this is good. They're incentivizing or disincentivizing us via taxes, right? So they want a certain behavior, and so they incentivize that behavior. For example, you can get energy efficiency tax credits, solar panels, all that kind of stuff, or standard deductions on children. It used to be an incentive to have more children because your standard deduction would increase. Okay, things like that, right? But what it is that they're incentivizing you, or disincentivizing you to do something, right? But we've given all that power to the federal government and our state government, and it's terrible. I mean, the fact that I literally have to consult with tax attorneys, accountants, and pay them in order to maintain a legal standing. And who knows, I'm probably illegal in other ways, including taxes, even though we're trying to stay above board, and that's why we're hiring accountants and consulting with tax attorneys. Okay, so I'll just give it totally raw here. We lost money in our S corp, right? So our if you're familiar with this, what it produces is a K1, and there's different types of K1 schedules based on the type of S corp you have, etc. Okay, so Monica and I are the shareholders for this company, and we lost money, which of course, we're in our first year, and that for the first 2 or 3 years, it's extremely common. And it's actually not a bad thing because it helped on our personal taxes. Okay, so, but I had to pay an accountant, over $400 to tell me that I lost money. Okay, so that, anyway, again, I'm not bashing on my accountant. He's a great guy, and I'm sure he actually saved us money by doing it. In fact, I know he did. So that was all good. And if you're going to go into business, accountant and tax attorney, you need to do it. But it's still infuriating that the system, and that's really what I'm talking about today. It's the system of income taxes, the system of property taxes, we didn't always have these. And if you asked 100 people on the street, well, how would we, build the roads? And, it's all those standard arguments that can be answered very easily just by thinking about this one thing. Okay, so how would we do this or that? How would we do schools, roads, for example, without government? Well, it's like, well, how did they do it before? And are there roads and schools outside of government? Of course. And does government actually make the roads or the schools? No, they hire private companies. So what we would be doing is getting rid of the large behemoth agencies and everything else. Yes, communities would have to come together and work together to figure out how they would fund a road or fund a school, for example. But I do believe it should all be private. At the very least, we need to modify the system. We need to simplify this behemoth system. I mean, it's out of control. There's really no way to maintain. You could have 10 different accountants take a look at your books, work it completely, and I guarantee you're going to get 10 different answers. That's a broken system. Anyway, I'll stop talking about taxes. All right, the second thing I want to talk about is this whole deal with Apple, the FBI, and the iPhone. As far as the backdoor software the FBI wanted to get in to iPhones, and in particular, what they were using was the case down in San Bernardino. With the terrorist. Okay. Here's my thoughts on it. Call me a conspiracy theory if you want. My thoughts are the FBI already had now, that's actually known, the means to hack iPhones. Okay, I think they already had it. What they were trying to do was establish legal precedent to be able to compel companies to do what they wanted them to do. Give this up, give that up. And I really think that's what it was about. I mean, because in the end, Apple stood on principle, like them or not. They're paying a heavy price for it now because the FBI got into their phones anyway. And they're getting, they're getting bashed by. I mean, seriously, if you go out there in the social media sphere, Apple's getting bashed and like, ha ha ha, they got, God. I mean, it's really bizarre. They make a stand on liberty and freedom, but because there's terrorists involved, we got to throw all that stuff out. All right. So again, that's my thoughts on it. The bottom line is that government has the ability to force, to compel. Apple didn't have the ability to compel anything, just to defend in court and all of that. All right. So I'm glad Apple made a stand on it, and the FBI has the phones, and they didn't get over on Apple. I think they already had the means to get into those phones. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with establishing legal precedent to be able to compel or force, at the point of a gun, companies to do what they want them to do. They want unlimited power. I mean, I'm telling you, there's no end to the power that the feds want. There isn't. Look how each thing has been a slippery slope to degrade freedom and liberty. Okay, Patriot Act, all that stuff. Patriot Act in particular has been used ridiculously. I mean, if you do some research on it and what the Patriot Act actually says and what has led to, and you will see the degradation of liberty and freedom. And it's not, to stop terrorists. It didn't have this huge impact on terrorism at all, but it had a huge impact on liberty and freedom. Okay, let me get off of those really serious subjects, and I want to give you an update on our Goji. Okay, I did a vlog maybe a week ago, I think, and I want to show you the progress we've got. We've got shoots coming up, and I think you can probably see that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's see. Yeah, 4. I think 4 shoots coming up. Goji. These are going to be Goji bushes, and what we're gonna do, I did a video and we did the planting. We took the goji berries and took out the seeds and put them in plants up, and boom, they're shooting up. So what I'm gonna do real quick is let me just look up. I want to look up the cost of a goji bush. It's expensive. Goji berry plant. Okay, let's see if we can pull this up real quick. It's so simple. It's so simple. If you can get a hold of some goji berries, some good goji berries from some hardy plants, and it makes sense. Okay, here we go. You can get goji. Hey, girl. You can get goji seeds for pretty cheap. You can get goji seeds for $4.95, 1 gallon. So a 1 gallon container of goji berry, $39.95. 3 gallon, a 3 gallon pot of a goji bush that's probably producing $69.95. Okay, I mean, that's a lot of money. Okay, so if I'm successful at raising 1, 2, 3, 4, and I get them to the 3 gallon pot stage and put them in the ground, think about that. That's like, let's just call it $50 a piece. That's $200 as long as, there's some work involved, of course. That's a couple $100. One, I was given the goji berries, and so I went through the work of planting it. And that's a great deal. And this is a really good plant. One of the recommendations that I read, I don't know that I'll do this, I'm still deciding, is that once you get it to a good stage, you can either plant it in the ground. For us up here, we're northern Idaho, so it's cold, but not extremely cold in the winter. We're still technically zone 6. We don't plan for zone 6. We actually plan down to zone 4. So it rarely goes even below 0 here. We get a lot of snow and it gets cold. But this last winter, it got down into the single digits a few times, and that's about it. Okay. So there's either this spring, once they get some decent growth, I'll put them in the ground, and then they'll have the growing season to grow, and then hopefully they overwinter for that first year. Or oh, sorry, my dog here is needing to go out. Hang on. All right. Yep. Told you this was low production here. All right. So they can either go straight into the ground, and then, because they're kind of tender for that first year. That's what I'm getting at. They're tender for the first year, and so you want to baby them a little bit. Or you can, if you get a bunch of sprouts, and like I said, I only did a few. I'm hoping to get at least one more. In fact, I see one more. So maybe I got 5 coming up. So what will happen is I will either put them in the ground, let them do the growing season, and then that first winter, they'll make it or they don't. Or some of them will make it and some of them won't, which is kind of typical for that first year. Or I can keep them inside for that first year. Okay, I can grow them up for the entire first year. Next spring of 17, put them in the ground, and they should be plenty, hardy by the time that following winter comes. Lots of growth and establishment. Okay, that's all. It's just something to think about, and it's really dependent upon where you are at. What zone you're in. If you're, because goji berries are pretty hardy. They can go down all the way down to, I think, zone 4, depending on the cultivar. So they should do fine here, and that's why we're going to plant. I've already got some planted, but I'm going to plant some more. We really like goji berries. Great medicinal, great, just a good food, and a good tasty berry, especially when dried. Can be used in many different ways. Super high in vitamin C, just like some of the other berries and all that. Okay.